What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video, first I want to give you a stimulus package update. We're going to talk about the upcoming new infrastructure bill. I want to address the new COVID variant, Omicron. I also want to talk about the Remain in Mexico policy that was done under former President Donald Trump and what the Biden administration is planning to do about this. So, got a lot of stuff we need to discuss today. Hopefully you guys are having an incredible weekend so far. If you are, do me a favor, go ahead, hit that like button. It also does help out the channel. Let's get into the update for today. Here's what we know. After it was announced that multiple countries were going to ban or severely restrict travel from South Africa yesterday, what happened was we saw tourists in South Africa flooding to the airports in order to try to get a flight out. This caused a lot of issues. Just this morning, just to give you an idea, and reports are still coming in, but just this morning, we learned that the Netherlands, they revealed that 61 passengers on 2 different flights out of South Africa tested positive. Yes, 61 passengers in just 2 flights tested positive. So, we also learned that Belgium, they have confirmed that they do have 1 person who has tested positive for this new heavily mutated COVID variant, Omicron. They said that this morning. This person actually wasn't even vaccinated, and according to reports, they traveled to Egypt. So, I'm not saying that, if a person is vaccinated, they are going to, pretty much avoid this new COVID variant, but the reports are still coming out. We're still waiting for the science behind this. So we'll see. Health experts have a lot of unanswered questions, but again, it takes a little bit of time. Here's the problem. World health experts now believe that this new heavily mutated COVID variant is or has already gone global. So this is something that we need to be very cautious of. We need to be aware that this is out there. There's no reports that says we have this here in the United States. We do not know if this is going to be bigger than the Delta variant. We don't know. But as we get more information, I promise, I will fill you in on all the latest news and updates. But here's what I thought was very interesting. It was about a year ago when President Biden, at that time who was campaigning to be president, President Biden slammed former President Donald Trump over a very similar situation. It was about, in the beginning of the COVID, this whole pandemic, President Trump at the time, he restricted travel from China to the United States. Now, at this time, this is what Biden had to say, and I quote, "We need to lead the way with science, not Donald Trump's record of hysteria, xenophobia, and fear-mongering. He is the worst possible person to lead our country through a global health emergency." Now, a lot of people were bashing President Biden yesterday because of the decision that he made. That he's doing exactly what he told former President Donald Trump not to do. Ban travel to the United States. But according to reports, the American people would rather see that travel is restricted into the U.S. so that we do not get another country's COVID variant here within our borders. So, a lot of health experts are warning that right now this new COVID variant, that this could be a very serious cause for concern. We don't know the answers though. But some states are taking it upon themselves to go ahead and get prepared. One of those states is New York. New York was hit hardest. They were hit extremely hard very early on in the pandemic, and they do not want to go through that again. One of the reasons why New York was hit so hard wasn't because they had more COVID cases. Yes, eventually they did. It wasn't because people were just going to New York. A lot of people were leaving New York, right? The reason for it was because their hospitals were overloaded. People would go in, they would need to be seen immediately, but there was no beds, there was no staff, there was no room. So, New York is taking this threat very seriously. New York has already declared a state of emergency. This will go into effect from December 3rd, I believe, to January 15th. So they're going to take this very seriously, and they want to make sure that they're going to raise hospital capacity ahead of the Omicron variant. So we will see what other states decide to follow. There are some states, as of right now, that are reporting that they are going to do something very similar. But again, as we know exactly what's going to happen, I promise I will bring you up to date on that news as well. Now, I mentioned this twice yesterday, and I want to break this down. What I said yesterday was one of the reasons why I believe more lawmakers are going to look into this is because in the past we have seen lawmakers question whether or not we should pretty much go away from the stimulus package, right? Provide more money to the American people, to businesses, to our economy. If we should move away from that and go towards more so towards something like an infrastructure bill, which is going to provide benefits and all this stuff more in the future. Well, here's what we were hearing yesterday. Yesterday we heard that many still question whether a $1.75 trillion infrastructure bill is truly what we need. Some believe that instead of passing this bill in the next couple of weeks, this new variant could potentially push that back into 2022, but this could bring back discussions of how do we tackle this new COVID variant. We don't need to put in more money into COVID research. I don't think that's the answer. Could it work? Yes. Do we need it? Possibly, but probably not. What many people are saying is that we need to look into what's going to happen if this new COVID variant does make its way into the United States. Are businesses going to close down? Will people be left without an income? Are more people going to die because of this? Yes. And so that's the question, is how do we transition? Or do we transition? Some are saying no. Let's not rush to a conclusion. Let's not rush to an answer to try to pass this $1.75 trillion infrastructure bill just yet. Let's wait. Because the problem with this, if we rush and pass a $1.75 trillion infrastructure bill, and this is what, according to one report from a Republican Senate aide, says that the GOP is very worried that if COVID were to come back, COVID were to surge again, okay? And we're still seeing these little surges here and there. If COVID were to surge again after the fact of passing a $1.75 trillion infrastructure bill, then we would go into a deeper and deeper deficit. So, the expectation right now is many are going to question whether or not we should move forward with the infrastructure bill, or should we wait and get answers on this new COVID variant first. But even though that's the expectation, here's the question that I have. Okay, and let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. One of the questions that I have is, why would lawmakers push off the infrastructure bill for now and wait on this potential stimulus package that they might need to, reintroduce to get the economy, through the next surge, right? But here's the question. Why would we do that when there's no telling that this would be the last COVID variant? There's nothing saying that this is it. We're done. That no more COVID, right? That's the problem. And that's one of the questions that I have is, how can lawmakers not pass a bill because they're worried about potentially providing more stimulus or more assistance to the American people and the economy, when just because this new COVID variant is potentially more dangerous than Delta, but at the same time, this doesn't mean there's nothing even more dangerous than the Omicron variant, right? And so that's kind of my question is, how do we move forward? Are we always supposed to have that worry that we're going to need to provide more to the economy, to the American people, to people on unemployment, businesses, airlines, right? How do we do that? Because I can tell you right now, if travel gets shut down like it is in many other countries, travel is getting hit hard. If that happens, I guarantee you the U.S. government's going to come out and provide additional stimulus to these airlines so that they don't just fall and just don't go under. So we'll see what happens there. But as of right now, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of questions. And again, the hardest part about all this is the questions all stem from one thing, the new COVID variant. So we'll see what happens there. But as I know more, I promise I'll come back and share more. Here's something else, okay? Even though we are seeing this new COVID scare, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta President Bostic, he says that he is still open to tapering asset purchases faster. Remember, the Federal Reserve went from providing $120 billion per month in asset purchases down to $105. They cut it by $15 billion. The expectation is they're going to cut it again. Now, he also mentioned that he is in support of increasing rates faster, possibly once or twice in 2022. And here's what he had to say. And I quote, "We have a lot of momentum in the economy right now. That momentum, I'm hopeful, will be able to carry us through this next wave." Speaking of this next wave of COVID cases. He also cautioned that all of that is predicated on the idea that the notion that the new variant is similar to Delta. So, he is saying if this new COVID variant is very similar to the Delta COVID variant, then the momentum that we have in our economy right now, it's good. We need to keep that momentum going, and he expects that momentum would carry us through the next COVID scare, right? But again, it all depends as to how serious this new COVID variant actually is. And again, scientists do not know at this time. This is the first time, okay? We have seen, the Delta variant, right? We have seen all the different ones out there. Some were, okay, this could be it. This could be the big one. Now, this is the most scared I think we have seen scientists lately. So during the pandemic, in the early stages, the beginning, scientists were very worried. Like, what is this? How do we deal with this? Now, that worry has almost came back. So that's why I'm a little cautious as to what we're going to see moving forward. But again, as we get these answers, I promise I will bring you those answers. As soon as we get them, I will bring you those answers. We also know that former President Donald Trump's Remain in Mexico policy is potentially coming back. Now, this is another big one. Again, when we lock down our borders, it means nobody in from the top, nobody flying in from other countries, nobody walking across through Mexico. All right, we're going to lock down our borders. Well, what we know right now is Mexico wants to see that the United States accelerates their efforts, or our efforts, to address the root cause of migration. Because Mexico is getting hit hard because people are coming up through Central America, okay, they're coming up through the southern border of Mexico. They're coming up, right? But here's the problem: as people are coming up, right, Mexico's getting hit hard with a lot of these people. They're living in certain places. They could be stealing. They could just making their way up to the United States for that better life, right? So Mexico, they want to see that the U.S. accelerates our effort to address the root cause of migration. They're also asking for development programs for southern Mexico and Central America. They want to make sure that not all these programs, people have to be closer to the U.S. border in order to start receiving them or getting answers. So we'll see what happens there, but as of right now, we still don't have an answer from President Biden as to whether or not he accepts the Mexican president's deal. If he does, then yes, the Remain in Mexico policy is back on. But as of right now, we still do not know. So As I know more, I promise I'll come back on, share all the latest news and updates. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your Saturday. Consider subscribing so that I can keep you up to date on everything that's going on. Make sure you hit that like button if you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.